if you Google, best car dealerships near me, right? It's going to give you your first 2, 3, or 4, but you can eventually scroll down enough and probably find your company. With AI, that's not the case. If you're not one of the first, 3 or 2 or 1 suggestions it gives, you don't even exist.
Welcome back to the High Ticket AI Systems Podcast. Everyone, please welcome the one and only Mrs. Natalie Higgins. Natalie, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Fantastic. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank
To give
you.
the audience some context as to what the company does and who you guys serve best, what would you feel like that is?
Yeah, so here at January Spring, we essentially we call ourselves a digital transformation company. So what we do is we partner with a lot of creative agencies, publishers, and the like, and basically come in, coach them on digital marketing, things like that, and then help them to add that as an additional revenue source to what they're doing. Because obviously digital marketing is, not going anywhere. It's only getting bigger. And so people realize, hey, if we want to continue to have exponential growth, then we need to be able to add in the services of providing digital marketing tactics. And then we also do the media buying on their behalf.
Gotcha. What was life like before this? Were you in the media space or in like the publicist space? Or I guess what's the origin story here?
Yeah. So for me personally, I've been in the marketing and digital marketing space for about 20 years. I started as a sales rep at a newspaper. And then worked my way into ad director, and then I became a publisher. And then along the way, obviously digital marketing became even more and more prevalent. So I kind of fell in love with it and kind of just leaned my way into that aspect of things. I have worked for agencies, brands, and then I've been here at January Spring for a little over 3 years.
Are you the founder CEO of the company?
I'm not. I am the COO. So Charity Huff is the founder and CEO. She has actually owned and built up several different companies, which has been really impressive.
For sure, for sure. With AI here in place, I know you want to talk about the great shift.
Yes.
What do you kind of see happening in the marketplace now that was not relevant at all or happening at all a few years back?
Yeah, so we're actually in the middle of a giant shift. So, as you mentioned, I just got done writing a 48-page report, basically, an industry report on the fact that a lot of people recognize at face level that AI is obviously just exploding, right? So many people are utilizing things like ChatGPT and Claude and Perplexity, things like that, but they don't realize the ripple effect that's kind of happening behind it. Because obviously, we were a very Google first world for like the last 15 years, right? Everybody goes to Google for everything, for information, phone numbers, hours of operations of businesses. And we're seeing a very, very fast shift towards people going AI first. So now if somebody is curious about a product or wants to make travel plans or is trying to compare things, like they're going to AI first, doing all that searching and stuff before they even make it to websites in Google. And because of that, AI is kind of acting as a intent filter, right? So a lot of traffic to websites is going down, especially blog sites, travel sites, people's regular websites. It's going down dramatically. But the traffic that they are getting is a lot higher engagement because AI is acting as that filter for them, right? For like the tire kickers and things like that. But because of that, it's affecting programmatic pricing, Google pricing, like it's affecting everything else around it that people really don't realize it's doing.
Yeah, that is a common theme that I'm seeing here is for SEO, like the vanity metrics, like clicks, traffic, all of that is significantly down. But what's more important, in my opinion, is the click to conversion ratio is significantly higher. At the end of the day, isn't that what you want? Don't you want conversions or like actual revenue into the business?
Absolutely. And you're so true. And a lot of people, they just focus though on the clicks or the impressions or the CPMs and stuff like that. Like, oh my gosh, I'm having to pay, $2 or $3 extra for a display ad cost per thousand, or, maybe 15% higher for, video CPMs. But like you just said, you're now having to not have to filter through a lot of junk traffic. Like the traffic that's coming in is like a lot more true interest because they've already done all their investigations and gotten their answers and everything on the front end by utilizing AI. So you're absolutely right in that.
Good. Getting back to your study, it looks like 63% of people now go to AI first. What do you feel like that does for programmatic advertising?
Yeah, so it's doing a couple different things. So first, As you know, ad placement is king, right? So you have all these blog sites, you have all of these publishers, right? Thousands and thousands of publishers that are part of these SSPs that are providing all this inventory that are getting, 50, 75, 90% less traffic to their websites than they used to, right? Because if I want a recipe now, I don't have to go to Pinterest and then go to somebody's blog. I can just go into any of these AI engines and say, hey, I'm trying to find a recipe for this, and boom, it gives it to me, right? Or if I'm making travel plans or anything else. And so, because the traffic on all these sites are plummeting, that means there's less placement. And, supply and demand, when there's less placement, prices go up and it's more competitive. So it's the same people buying, but now you're paying sometimes upwards of twice as much as what you were having to before because the inventory has dropped drastically.
Okay,
Uh, yeah, so it's definitely made in the last few months, we have seen a ridiculous swing in the bids that we have to put in order to win quality inventory.
well, it sounds like, we're servicing on the challenges and the problems. What is the company doing? And of course, if you want to share,
Yeah,
to essentially the things that we're doing to solve the way that people are currently searching for, if that kind of makes sense.
yeah, I think I get where you're going at. So for us personally, right, like that's where it's leaning into products that are either a lot more bottom funnel, right? So your paid search, obviously, anything that's first party data is really valuable. Um, but also, we have been leaning a lot into reminding people to use the first party data that they have. So one thing that people have done for forever is they're collecting all this information from customers and people who visit their website via pixels and things like that. But not a lot of them do anything with that traffic or do anything with that information. So now it's even more important than before. And then the big piece is we've been adding in a lot of content writing and GEO services into our offerings because just like how first it was yellow books, right? Like you would do your little tactics and stuff to get the front, and then obviously with SEO, right, with Google, it's all about being the first couple of listings. It's now the same thing with AI search engines. In order to show up in these generative engine optimizations, there's certain things that you have to do to your website, to your overall online digital footprint, to your listings, in order to even make you relevant in these searches. Because with Google, right, if you Google, best car dealerships near me, right, it's going to give you your first two, three, or four, but you can eventually scroll down enough and probably find your company. With AI, that's not the case. If you're not one of the first, three or two or one suggestions it gives, you don't even exist. There is no searching for more or looking down a list. Like if you are not part of the answer, then you don't exist. And so it's really even more so important now than it has been before that people are actually like structuring their websites correctly and things like that. So we've started offering those services, white labeled to our partners, and then to the direct clients that we have. And it has taken off like wildfire because businesses recognize like, hey, this is something we have to address and we have to address it now.
Yeah, like from the consumer standpoint, like if you are a business owner and put yourself in consumers' shoes for a second, if you use Google like AI overviews or any LLM to get answers to your questions, and you're not in the top three or top four, like it's almost like a scary thing. Right? It's like, oh
Yes.
my gosh, like I'm not like the best, like I'm not getting cited. That means like my business is not going to grow, right? So it kind of should light a fire in that business to actually put a move on this thing. But yeah, just my 2 cents there.
Oh yeah, you're exactly right.
When it comes to majority of your client base, are they partners that you white label for, or is it direct to client?
I'd say it's about 95% white label services that we offer to businesses. We have started to do more direct businesses as long as they don't compete with our partners. But most of our stuff is B2B. Like we are white labeling to companies so that way they can sell their services as their own.
Interesting. Do you mind sharing the thought process, like why that is the business model opposed to other way around? Because it's very interesting.
Yeah, so a lot of it ties down into, a lot of these companies, right? So whether they're publishers, right? Like so magazine companies, newspapers, things like that, or if they're creative agencies, I'm sure you're familiar with the fact that, you know, digital marketing is a really tough space. And there's so many products that people can do, and there's so much to learn. And so if you really want to be able to put together thoughtful recommendations for your advertisers, um, there's a lot of strategy and stuff behind it. And not just anybody has access to people who have the experience to be able to put those strategies together. And so we are very much so like ingrained with these companies. Like sometimes like I even make the joke about feeling like I actually am in a company because we're in there, we're training their people, we're helping them come up with their packaging and pricing, we're talking to them about profitability, commissions, and then we are then helping them learn how to pitch it and develop it. And now eventually they get to a point where they fly their wings and they're good and they've learned what they've needed to learn. And then we just act as the media buyer at that point. But a lot of them, when they're in these more traditional, companies, um, they are sometimes barely getting by at this point, right? And so to be able to pay, the salary that would be needed to bring on somebody with the experience that's needed would be a really big task, not to mention the quantity of us that do have that much experience to be able to help. So it's been really great. We did pick that niche, right? Like we could have just offered white services to everyone, but we started with the publisher realm and then added on those creative agencies. And then that's where we're expanding. We're calling it our 2.0, right? Is then going direct. But it just seemed to work really well because they have the relationships in the communities. They're out there doing the hard part, which is getting the meetings. And then we're here to just help them close and develop strategies that work for that advertiser.
No, it is a great business model. And whenever we get like referrals or some people want to white label our services, it's like, all right, cool. Like, I don't have to sell anything. I just like do the services. All right, life is great. Like
Right, exactly. I'm like, yeah, sign me up. No cold calls or anything. I'm good.
for sure, for sure. So, for anyone listening out there, who would you say is? I know it's creative agencies and publicists, but like, I guess one level deeper. Like, is there like a revenue target that they're at, or how many employees they have, or how many clients that they have that is the best fit for you guys? No.
We have companies as small as a we call them solopreneurs, right? Like a one person entity that maybe runs a community magazine out of their city, all the way up to we have an international company that has newspapers across military bases all over the nation and in other countries. And so we do all sizes. But we really pride ourselves though in our ability to be able to help even the small entities scale dramatically with kind of the secret sauce that we've put together.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay, cool. Good to know. Out of curiosity, because I know you said was the first position at a college sales for a newspaper?
No, not my first position. No, I've held all kinds of different roles in my early 20s and stuff like that.
Gotcha. The question that I want to dig into is because I love sales. So you having a sales background,
Yes.
going into COO, is it like a different mindset that you have to possess, different skill set that you had to acquire? How was that transition like?
Yeah. So yes and no, I would say, because with me coming up from that sales perspective, so going from sales and then the sales leader, and then even before, getting into COO, I was a director of revenue strategy, right? Like we think in numbers and we think of profitability. And that's actually ideal for a COO because when you're looking at your organization as a whole, at the end of the day, if you're not profitable and you're not making revenue and you're not generating sales, then your company's probably not going to go anywhere, right? So I think having that lens actually helped me to become, the great COO that I am. Charity, the CEO, she's fantastic. She always, brags on the fact that I'm like her duplicate that gets to run the company on her behalf because she actually bought a magazine in Colorado that she's been spending a lot of time at. But just having that revenue lens and that sales lens and understanding how everything is connected. I think that, if there were more COOs, I think with a sales background, I think that businesses would be a lot more profitable.
No, absolutely. I completely agree. I have a, I guess, sure, strong sales background from like door-to-door sales to cold calling to owner the agency in the past like 6 years. But I love the front end marketing and sales. Obviously, I can get better on both fronts, marketing and sales and like operations and whatnot and like fulfillment. But I guess like where my soul wants to live is definitely marketing and sales. It's just fun for me.
But yeah, I agree.
With that being said, on the, media buying side, what do you feel like has been working better than other strategies or other tactics on either Google PPC, if you want to start there, or on the Meta side, or another channel that you feel like you are more of an expert in, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, I could speak to any of them. So whenever it comes to Google Ads in general, a lot of it just has to do with really refining the keyword lists and doing lots and lots of ad groups. Lots and lots of ad groups that are very, very targeted with very, very targeted messaging. Those tend to work the best. And then actually setting up the campaigns to optimize towards conversions. A lot of people skip that step because it's kind of a little bit of a pain, placing pixels and then measuring out what conversions are. But if you want something to actually optimize over time to actually generate better leads, because Google, yes, wants to make money, but they also want the best possible results for both the searcher and also the advertiser. And so if you give it the data that it thrives for, that it's going to continue to do well. Another thing that people skip too is the fact that you can actually upload offline conversions into your Google Ads, right? And a lot of people don't do that either. And so a lot of systems are kind of garbage in, garbage out, right? So the more really good, data that you can feed back into it of what's working and what's not, it's only going to continue to get smarter and generate, better traction. Another thing that we do as well is, we have those quality scores that get listed on all of the keywords, right? And that is directly relevant to like the copy and information that you have on your site. And so if you are buying and bidding on a keyword that has a quality score of a 1, but it's something that generates leads for you, if you want to end up having lower cost per thousands and generate more leads without increasing your budget, the best thing you can do is try to attack those lower quality score keywords that generate good stuff for you. So and negative keywords is also something I feel like is underutilized. Then from a meta standpoint, I hate Meta. So,
Why? That's so funny, but why?
it's just so difficult to work with. They make things so hard. They will, um, you know, close down ads for no reason. I was running a nonprofit ad that had nothing to do with anything but, advertising a gala. And it shut it down saying that we couldn't run ads for finance and target people. I'm like, this says nothing about finance, right? Like, and this is anybody who deals with meta ads a lot knows there's just this continuous headache. They'll change things without telling people. Like they'll start adding like music to ads without saying anything, and it'll be completely mismatched. Like we had a retirement community that had like hip hop placed on it. Like, it's just like this never ending battle with Meta, but it is still efficient. Otherwise, we wouldn't do it, right? But a lot of it I've realized is very much so like industry specific. So if you are not of certain industries, like nonprofits work great with social, retail, things like that is great with social, right? And the targeting within it, political. But if you are kind of outside of that, like let's say you're in home services, right? It's kind of hard to target in a real good way to get in front of the perfect person for you. So I really just, tell them do retargeting from it, first party data from it. Because then at least you'll get people while they're actively scrolling, right? But when it comes to targetability, I really kind of try to segment which industries I really push towards Meta and which ones I don't.
For sure. Talk to us about offline conversions, because for a lot of people, that is like the first time that they've heard that before. Uploading offline conversions, how do you do that? Like, what even is that?
Yeah. So, for example, let's say you have like an e-commerce system, right, where you're like bringing in leads, or you have a POS or a CRM that you are aggregating like people that called or people that come in. A lot of times there's IP address information that can be captured on those, and then if you dump those back into, there's actually an offline conversion section in your Google Ads underneath. I believe it's tools, you can go in there and actually upload those Excel documents and it'll actually match it to the IP addresses that, so if there's a matchup, right? So if I have 50 that I'm uploading at the end of each month and it recognizes like 5 of them as IP addresses that were served ads to, then it knows, hey, like these ended up generating sales or leads. And then it knows to serve more ads to those types of people. And so it's just a really great way in order to just again feed more data back into Google.
Yeah, and kind of getting back to what you said earlier about, I guess, people being not lazy, but like lazy, and then not uploading the pixel to the website or utilizing G4 analytics there. If you really want to scale the company, in my opinion, you have to make data-driven decisions. Like if you don't know what's working or you don't know what's working well, then like, how the hell are you ever going to grow, right? Like you have to like look, go.
Absolutely. And then what I also hear is people will start a campaign without even having the conversation of how am I going to be able to measure the success of this? Like that happens all the time. Like they'll start a campaign and it's like, well, this isn't working. I'm like, okay, well, what makes you think that it's not working? Well, it's not doing A, B, C, and D. It's like, okay, well, A, B, and C, and D were never part of the initial discussion. Like, so it's like if you want any marketing, digital, traditional, anything to be successful, you have to decide how you're going to measure the success of said campaign and make sure that it's something that's even possible to be able to map, right? Because not everything you can do here and then measure here. So
A- Absolutely. With metadata, I know I'm not sure if you get served these types of ads, but I get them like at least 17 times a day. But intent data, I know there's like a few different ads that I get, but that's like all the time. Essentially, you plug in the intent data into a custom audience inside Meta, and this really works well for like home improvement companies, like working on behalf of home improvement companies. But essentially, the people that are actively scrolling, like actively looking up, like, roof near me, blah, 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 we can resolve that data. And that is essentially intent data over the like, last 30 days. You take that info, you put it into meta ads, and essentially it's supposed to like help with CPMs, decrease of conversions because like they're actively in market for that. Have you been, I don't know, served those ads or thought about that type of strategy at all?
have been served those ads. I've thought through that strategy. I've had several vendors, right, reach out to me. I get hit up by vendors all the time, as I'm sure you do. Um, but the only issue that I've personally had with them, and this could just be a matter of, tweaking targeting on the back end, is I always feel like I'm served the intent advertising after I've already made my decision. And so, like, for me, like, and that ties into the whole AI thing, right? When you nowadays, people are searching AI first. So by the time they go to Google and some of these other search engines, they're already really close to making a decision. So if I am searching for a plumber, for example, right? Plumbers, if you're searching for a plumber, it's usually something's broken. You need somebody to come over like right now. And so if I'm, in there and I'm searching, I hire my plumber, they come to my house, and then 2 days later, I start seeing the ads. Now, sometimes they've hit me in the right time frame and it's worked out, but I feel like more times than not, they're getting to me late. And that could just be their process on the back end, right? It could be how often they're refreshing data. There could be so many things that ties into that because that's not a sandbox I usually play in. But from the consumer portion of it, that's where I've seen my struggle. Is I'm like, well, gosh, this would have been great to see 4 days ago, right? So,
Absolutely.
what about you?
What about me? What do you mean?
Yeah. So, I mean, have you been served them in like a timely manner on your side? Does it feel like, or
That's a good question. To be honest with you, I don't really look things up in Google anymore. If I'm
Mhm.
shopping something, I use LLM, so I'm not sure if the intent data is working for me. But I know for a fact I like consuming VSLs because I love copyright and I love marketing, so it's always nice going through that, like another like funnel, if that makes sense. So I'm never really in market for what they're selling, but I do like to consume it, like just because it's fun for me,
oh yeah,
you know?
from a professional standpoint, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I actually haven't heard that take before though on intent data, saying that it's being served too late. We just had somebody else on not too long ago, and that was their thing. They said they refreshed every 24 hours, but I wonder if that's a common industry challenge that they're actually facing with the intent data. I'll have to go ask, but
I bet there would be, especially with AI, because it's shortening that window so much since they're doing all of their legwork on searches, in LLMs. So I would bet that it is becoming a struggle for them for sure.
and when you're saying 63% use AI before making a decision, is this Google AI overviews included or purely LLMs like, I guess Google is LLM, like Chat, Claude, Perplexity, whatever?
Yeah, so it is like Chat, Claude, Perplexity, and the like. And it's not 63% of all searchers. It's of the people that use AI. So
Got
obviously
it.
you have individuals that, they don't even want to jump in that space, right? Or if, if they do it very gingerly. But of people that utilize AI services in some form or fashion, 63% of those people start their buying cycle in AI before they make it to it.
Gotcha. Okay. That actually makes, for me, that is so true. Like 100%. Would you say that better does true for you as well?
Well, a billion percent. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, to every level. Gosh, I actually had started doing TikToks on just like the random things I use AI for because it's just funny how much you can use it for. But that's definitely the case with me.
Awesome, awesome. And then Natalie, looking forward over the next 12 months, what do you feel like is the number one or like the top two goals that the company is looking forward to achieving?
Yeah. So for our company specifically,
Hmm.
yeah, so definitely just diversifying our clients, right? So, like I said, we started very focused on publishers and the like. We moved into our what we call our 1.5, where we started bringing in creative agencies because there's not people opening up, print publications left and right, right? So, if we want to hit the growth that we want to grow, we have to arch into other areas, and so us growing that direct clientele is a big piece of that. And then the other piece is just continuing to really owning and leaning into all things AI and automation. We're really big, like we're not replacing people, but we're helping our people be smarter, right?
Yes.
And be quicker. And so for us, like just continuing to lean into that, the amount of things this year that we've been able to either automate or be able to make better by use of AI and automations has been great. And then also we've been able to pass that on to our advertisers as well. So I'm really looking forward to kind of see how that continues to grow, throughout the year.
Kind of a fun question for you. Which LLM do you like to use the most? I like to use Claude. I like
So
Claude.
I'm 50-50. I will do pre-searches in ChatGPT and then dump and finish in Claude. Like I jump between the two. I literally have them one on each screen. So it just depends on what I'm trying to do. Depends
Okay.
on like what I like to use. But I have tons of projects set up within Claude that I love to utilize, like SEO audits and things like that, or just like random things. So I would say 50-50 on those two.
If you don't mind, why do you which projects or which things do you utilize chat for opposed to Claude?
Yeah, so for chat, it's more if I'm trying to do some like quick things, right? So like quick searches, or if I have something that has like long detailed information that I started like a year ago, right? Like to take all that data and dump it into Claude would be kind of a headache. I could do it, but I just don't want to. And so there's certain things that I still do within ChatGPT, or there's certain things that I think ChatGPT does a better job at. Like, so for example, is if I'm trying to put together like a quick one sheet for something. Claude needs a little bit more direction sometimes. Now, the quality of what it comes out with is better, but you almost have to have more lead time in those. And there's sometimes I don't have lead time, you know?
Right.
Oh, I actually run an additional company, and then I also have kids and everything else. So I'm 90 places at once. And so I need fast stuff. So that's kind of what I still use ChatGPT for.
Absolutely. Are you editor, pay attention. Do you want to shine some light on the other company really quick? I
Yeah,
didn't know that you
sure,
were
absolutely. 'Cause I was reached out to for January Spring, so obviously I'm going to speak to that. But I am the CEO and founder of Everwild AI, and so we do a lot more content heavy stuff, and sometimes we actually white label each other. But my big focus is AI with Everwild. So helping people be able to be sourced online, really heavy into GEO. We offer some really fantastic GEO packages that are priced at a point where even your smaller size businesses could afford them, because that's the big thing right now, is because since it is such a huge undertaking, you see true GEO packages, not people running in with SEO and just slapping a GEO label on it, like true GEO packages. Sometimes they can start upwards of $6, $7, $8,000 a month for companies because it is so content heavy. And so for me, it was important to bring some stuff to the table that, might not be as aggressive, but it still kind of moves the needle, but makes it in a price point that's manageable for small and medium sized businesses. So that's what I kind of lean into.
That's super cool. No, it's so funny because like SEO, a lot of people said, "Oh, like it's dead, it's going downhill, blah blah." Like it is not. It is the opposite case. Like it is more prominent now more than ever because of Geo and like AI and LLM. So great transition or pivot.
Yeah, and GEO packages, if you look at all of them, like again, the true ones, it's SEO on steroids. All the same things that you are buying in SEO, because it is super important and relevant, is all still in those packages. It's just layering on that content piece that's so much more important, and pushing out that content. So definitely still relevant for sure. But having that extra content piece is what really kind of puts the icing on the cake.
For sure. Speaking of content, just for funsies, what I love to do is like once a month, I go into Claude or I go into like AI overviews and I ask about my company, right? And I see kind of where the citations are pulling from. And a lot of it is YouTube and LinkedIn.
Hmm.
And that kind of just correlates with content, right? It's like all the podcasts that we have is pulling the transcripts from there. Of course, the content that we have on LinkedIn is pulling information from there. So I'm like, damn, like, I should do more of this. You know what I mean? So
Good. You should monetize it, honestly, because for that exact reason, it adds so much value because it raises people's authority scores. So by you doing all these, it's raising your authority score. And then anybody that is on your show, it also raises their authority score. So it's definitely something I would continue doing.
absolutely. And Natalie, where can they find the company January Springs and your company personally?
Yeah. So JanuarySpring.com is the URL for January Spring. And then for Everwild AI, it's everwildai.com. Both of them are on social media, LinkedIn, everywhere. You could also just hunt me down if you'd like. Natalie Higgins, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm very easy to find. And so if you kind of need some kind of services or help, but you don't really know which direction to go, I also have a huge ecosystem of people that I know that I can always kind of direct you in the right, kind of area.
Amazing. Yeah, we'll make sure to leave all the info in the show notes as well. But thanks for joining us. We appreciate all the gems on AI and Geo and LLMs. So
Yeah,
thank you so much for joining, Natalie.
absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, audience. Till next
Bye
time.
bye.